So it's taken me a little bit to get to this card, but I'm finally able to do it now that we have cool cosmetics to inspire me to play it. And it's a card I've wanted to play for a little bit, but it's been a little bit of a task to get the best build, and so I think I kind of found it. And what that's going to be is we're focusing on Team Rocket's Weezing today because of the Explode Together Now attack, which, ignore the fact that my last video also had to deal with blowing things up, but, you know, we're on a bit of a theme. So this card is pretty interesting because the attack does 40 damage for each Pokemon in play that has Koffing or Weezing in its name, which means it doesn't need to be the Team Rocket's Weezing for this attack to work, which means we're going to also be able to use our regular Weezing with the Let's Have a Blast ability, which is one of my favorite abilities in the game, where if this Pokemon is in the active spot, and is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, the attacking Pokemon is knocked out. So you get a couple different, knockouts and prize cards every here or there if your opponent chooses to knock this out. And what's really nice is that it allows us to kind of put this in the active for a turn if we need to stall out for a little bit and force our opponent to either use their boss or to, knock us out and see if we end up picking up extra prize cards for it, which can happen and feels really good when it does. The other thing too is that we get to use Team Rocket's Koffing with the Smog Signals, and this is the last ability I'm reading because my reading is going horrible right now. But if this Pokemon is in the active spot, is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, you can search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon that have Koffing in their name and put them onto your bench. This is really nice because, again, it just lets you keep getting out your Team Rocket's Koffings so you can have those set up. The main thing is that you may be asking yourself, but we need a whole bunch of Pokemon in order for this to do any damage. How are we going to do that? We're going to do this with Precious Trolley. That way we can get all our basics out of our bench, out onto our bench, and we're going to have Cornerstone because it's the tankiest basic Terra that we can get, and have that with the Area 0 Underdepths, so that way we have an expanded bench and we can hit for a ton of extra damage, even more so if we get the Defiance Band enabled. We also have access to the Team Rocket's energy to give us easier attacks, so that way we're not powering up our Pokemon all too much, but we do also play the Reversal Energy and Dark Energy, so that way we can make that work when we have to. The list is pretty straightforward from there. Obviously, it's just about getting our Arvens in play. We play 3 for Iono and Research, and then 2 copies of Boss's Orders. You could change this around if you wanted. You could do, like 2 and 4 or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of how we're running it. We do run 1 copy of Switch, so that way if we have the regular Weezing in the active and we need to move that around, we always can. And we also play 1 Pokégear, just so that way we're able to kind of find our supporters when we have to, so that way we're looking to get into our Arven as quickly as possible. But yeah, that's going to be it for the deck list, guys, so we'll jump into the game in a second. Just want to give a special shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for that additional level of support. It really does go a long way and means a lot, so thank you guys so much for that. For everybody else, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you're interested in becoming a channel member, it will get you access to our stream VODs for, that we do. We stream once to twice to sometimes 3 times a week, so if you want access to those stream VODs, you can get that by being a channel member, as well as access to videos early. But obviously no pressure. The main thing that I would just ask you all to do is just make sure that you ring the bell so you're actually notified of uploads. Because it's very important for the YouTube algorithm, and unfortunately I'm forced to talk about it. But yeah, that's just about it. I will jump into game number 1 in a second. My final last announcement is that me and Control Players Unite did just record our episode of Office Hours. So if you if you submitted a deck and you want to watch that video, 2 people were featured. We had a lot more responses than I was anticipating, so we're going to be doing another episode in the future. But for right now, that video should come out Wednesday. So that'll be Wednesday, I think, like, what, the 9th or something? I don't know. But yeah, so that'll come out soon, so be on the lookout for that. So definitely, subscribe, ring the bell, all that kind of stuff. But that's enough rambling in my overly long-winded intros as they normally are. I'll see you guys all in game number 1 in a second. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 1, and we're going to be going first. Going first with this deck isn't too bad. Obviously, opening Fez this is a very bad hand. But, I mean, okay, it's not awful, but it's not ideal. Because we do have our Area 0, so if we can get into... Okay, This actually doesn't feel that bad. This went really bad, but is now going better. Because we're going to be able to go Arven for Nest Ball first. Find ourselves the... We'll be able to find ourselves Nest Ball to get ourselves the Cornerstone. Then go Area 0, Precious Trolley. It's Ancient Box. That's interesting. What does this do? Interesting they're playing the Screamtail. They're gonna get 60 damage off. That's fine. We can use our switch. Oh, look at that. Well, would you look at that? We get our trolley. We'll hold the Arven. So let's grab ourselves a whole bunch of Koffings. Alright, I was about to say, I think the game broke on us a little bit there. We'll grab ourselves... Do we want to go gear is the main thing, because the reality is that we don't actually get anything. Yeah, we're going to go gear. Pass our turn. Because if our Fez gets knocked out, it's like not that big a deal. But what we're really looking for is to be able to evolve. I guess we could have gave up a Koffing, let that get knocked out, so then we get +3 off the Fez. Like, we could have gone Switch. Though I have a feeling we're fine. It doesn't look like my opponent's playing a deck that's very good. Like, they're not playing, like, regular Ancient Box. But they're playing a bunch of PAL pads. We still lived. Alright, we get a Nest Ball, so let's evolve here. We'll throw this, we'll hold on to this actually. Let's go for this. I'm gonna go research. We'll place the band down. I'm gonna go switch. Pull this up. And go research, since I'm discarding everything anyway. We'll make this one, why not? Place this. Go Vessel. Get rid of the Buddy Poffin. For Double Dark. Pass turn. Now we're going to get +3 of Fez. It does suck that we had to discard the Sacred Ash, though. I would have really liked to be able to keep that. Okay, Iono comes in. Honestly, that doesn't bother me. I'm set up to do big damage. We get a Ultra Ball and another Team Rocket's Energy. That feels really good. My opponent's deck is pretty bad, but our setup is pretty clean. So I'm like not even upset about it. Let's go. Coin flip heads. This game is rigged. That should have worked. It should be heads every time. Alright, we grab that. Let's go flip the script. We'll go energy down. Get rid of this. And we'll get rid of the research. Grab ourselves another Weezing. Make that. And then what we can do is go Night Stretcher. Make this just so that way we have it. We'll go Iono because at this point it doesn't really matter if we're being completely objective. Our opponent's deck is pretty bad. So we can kind of just sit here and do this. We'll attack for 270, which is pretty nuts. take the knockout, grab ourselves a prize card where we get another Team Rocket's energy. So we're just going to keep being able to loop these Weezings. We also have another Iono, which feels pretty good. We have Reversal Energy. We really just want to be able to pick up the Koffing. Vitality. We're kind of just beating up on a young lad here who just came to the playground with a lot of his favorite cards. It's minorly annoying. Actually, we're talking a lot of crap, but the reality is, like, they actually could win because they can deck us out if we're not careful. So, let's get rid of that. Because we have been discarding a lot of our cards, so technically, if they can loop 4 Great Tusk attacks while we do this, they... well, we have Iono, so never mind. I was gonna say, there's a world where they could actually beat us. It just means we have to be a little conscious of our drawing for the next couple turns, though. And even then, it doesn't really matter. But it is what it is. We're gonna whittle this away and then hopefully find a... Oh. Well, alright then. This is not how I thought this would go. I'm not sure why they play so many of these. They're playing all the bad... They're playing all the bad ancient cards. This one's not bad, though. This Crydon's actually not bad. Alright, let's... I don't think I have any more Koffings. Throw energy onto this one, I guess. Doesn't really matter. We'll go Iono. Hey, there's Boss's Orders. That's pretty cool. We'll take the KO. Because we're still doing 200 damage, which is kind of crazy. For a single prizer to be doing 200 like that is pretty nice. There's the rescue board. I mean, it's no Typhlosion, but still. Pretty wacky. We'll be able to knock out the Great Tusk as well. There's really nothing they can do at this point. I guess they could go Energy and a Vitality, go Giant Tusk. Why did they play Mew? I guess Mew's not bad. I will say this is the reality of ladder resets, and I haven't actually been bothering to climb all that hard with the new on the new ladder for this kind of like season, just because it resets so quickly. Because of Black Bolt and White Flare, I've like kind of not cared as much. Alright, we're going to hold on to everything. We're going to go explode together, knock this out. That way we can grab one more prize. Hey, there's another Koffing. Just so that way, if our opponent goes for the Great Tusk play and goes to mill us, we can still go Iono and have enough cards left that it would take 2 more Great Tusk attacks, and we're going to be able to take the KOs in the meantime. So it won't matter as much. And if they take a KO in between turns, then that like also works out for us. They go flip the script. Place that down. Unrelenting Onslaught. does a bunch of damage. But we get to bring in Weezing. We'll go and place the Koffing down. Place the Fighting Energy just kind of because, and then we'll go for the Iono. To put them to 3. And put us in range to not only KO, but also be okay if they go for Great Tusk plays and things of that nature. There's a boss's orders as well. So if we have to boss up one of these to KO, we can do that as well if it comes down to it. There's a Vitality. The only thing that could hurt us here is if they get Counter Catcher and like pull up this Weezing, we would need to find one other energy, like we would go Dark Energy onto it, and then we need to find one other energy in the meantime. This doesn't matter as much, and honestly it lets me get rid of Fez, so they can't pull that out for 2 prizes either. And like I said, I have boss, so I can just pull up one of the Screamtails. Oh, I do enough damage to KO this anyway. I wasn't sure if I did. That's a bunch of damage. We get the KO and we move on to the next game. Game 1, little underwhelming because my opponent's deck was like not the best version of that. I'm not really sure why they played that the way they did. Ironically, not playing the Roaring Moon, which is like the best card to play, just a whole bunch of Screamtails. But we're also playing like a random rogue deck, so I don't really feel that bad about it. But yeah, we'll jump into game number 2 in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 2. Our opponent's going to be going first. We open our Koffing. This actually feels really good, because we get to open our Koffing. We have Team Rocket's Energy. Ooh, Venture Bomb Watchtower. They also have Koffing sleeves. It'd be really cool if it was a Koffing mirror. I know it's not, but it'd be fun. Alright, there's a Mimikyu. So what's nice is that we're going to be able to go Cornerstone. If we had our stadium, even better, but like regardless, we're still going to be able to go and get ourselves the Arven, or use the Arven to get ourselves Trolley, and kind of find the rest of our pieces. They do get the Proton. See Watchtower come down. I don't really care about that. If they start making Mewtwo, that's really good for us, because that's just a 2 prize that we're going to be able to knock out. Common misconception, actually, and this is something that I've been talking about a lot with a guy at a locals I go to with, who's like a big Mewtwo EX player. It's that Mewtwo EX is the worst card in this deck. You want to be focusing on like just using Spite Ops for most of it, and then just use Mewtwo as like a closer. Putting this card as like your active, like you want to be attacking with it and stuff like that, I think is like not the right play to make. So we'll place this down, place this, Arven, we'll use Trolley, we'll grab Band, place this, and then be able to go for 3 of these. So we have a full bench. And then what I can do is I can place the Team Rocket's Energy here and pass, because I can always make a new one. If they go Team Rocket's Energy and attack with the Eraser Ball and knock out this Koffing, it's fine. I don't really lose out on the Team Rocket's Energy. And if they don't, it's also fine, because I can just place the other one down and evolve. So there's really no outcome here where it's not better just to place that. Like, I'm not attacking, I'm not doing anything anyway. Ariana comes in, so they can give themselves a decent amount more cards. They go Venture Bomb. I don't think Venture Bomb's the play in this deck, but It does just burn a card, so they can go Ariana, and I guess it does plus them up a little bit of damage, so that's not inherently bad. They have no energy in the discard pile, so they can't go Spite Ops, at least as of right now. They go Ultra Ball. This can get them energy in the discard pile. We'll see what they get rid of. They get rid of energy and a Mewtwo. Why is it water energy? For another Spite Ops. Spite Ops uses Charge Up, gets the water energy, but they can't get an attack off still. And now they just give up a 2-prizer. That was a very bad play. Leave Mimikyu in the active, my friend. Alright, we get our Area 0. We get to make this. We get to hold Fezandipiti in hand. We'll get 2 prizes off knocking out the Mewtwo. Where we find another Area 0 and a Koffing. So we get even stronger, even though we're one-shotting the Spite Ops at this point anyway. They don't have a Grass Energy set up, so we don't have too much to worry about. If they bump our Stadium, again, we can replace it. If they knock out our Weezing without reshuffling us, we'll be able to go Fez down and reset. There is the Archer, so they are going to go for it. So we are going to lose out on the Fez. That was the only reason to play it down. I just didn't think they would go Archer. Alright, we got Night Stretcher anyway, so it literally made 0 difference. They are able to bump our Stadium and plus up 2. We'll have access to the rescue board, so we'll place that down when it becomes our turn onto the Ogerpon, so that way we always have a free retreater. Team Rocket's Factory. Again, if they don't get the Grass Energy, there's nothing they can do on this turn. We see Charge Up for the Psychic one. I'm not sure why they're playing the Water Energy. It's very confusing to me. Alright, place that down. Our opponent didn't get anything off anyway, so we just go for the Explode Together now. Knock that out, and we have some rocket on rocket violence, but we're kind of just pub stomping. We'll see what they put into the active. The correct choice is Mimikyu. Alright, they made the wrong choice. So, I'm going to do some teachable moments here. The correct play is Mimikyu because you have no retreat cost, right? So, even though Mimikyu won't be able to attack me, it doesn't matter because it's the least committal option to move this to the active, because if they don't get the energy here with the Spite Ops, they can't attack anyway. Now, in this case, they did, right? But even still, you want to have Mimikyu in the active so that way you can retreat into the Spite Ops and attack, because you were really relying on drawing it with the Ariana and the Team Rocket's factory. Let's say, hypothetically, they still didn't get into the Grass Energy, right? You don't want to lose the Spite Ops, especially if you can't replace it. So you'd want to go and like give up something like the Wobbuffet, for example. So that way you're able to still keep your free retreater as well as be able to keep your Spite Ops. The Team Rocket's flipping heads there actually mattered, and that's so insane. Alright, we'll bring this in. We'll place this down. We'll Night Stretcher to pick up the Weezing. Go Weezing down. Make another one. We'll go Explode Together now. Knock that out and go to our last 2 prizes. Where we get a Buddy Poffin. Not that that really matters. Honestly, we would love to find ourselves a Research. Or if on the next turn we can get ourselves into a Team Rocket's energy, that also works. But yeah, our opponent's going to go ahead and concede, which is a little unfortunate for them, but it is what it is. We'll jump into game number 3 in a second, and I'll see you guys there. Peace. Alright, we're into game number 3, and we're going to be going first. We'll see what we're up against. We get our regular Koffing. We do have a Nest Ball, depending on what we draw. we can either just get ourselves like a regular Koffing or something before we go for the research. Ooh, we see Ogerpon. Alright, we get ourselves a regular Koffing. I'm going to go Nest Ball down. We're going to go Nest Ball. And in this case, we're going to go for the other Koffing. And I'm going to go Switch. Do I think my opponent's going to be able to take the turn 1 KO? Probably. So we're going to do the Switch here. Because if this gets stuck, it gets stuck. That is what it is. But if they get the turn 1 KO, and they knock this out, I'll get to be able to place 2 more Koffings and put my Weezing in a position that I'll probably be able to get the Revenge KO onto the Teal Mask. Which will feel pretty good. And if they don't, then it is what it is. It's kind of just stuck in the active for a turn, and I lose out on a turn, which feels a little bad, but whatever. We see Ultra Ball come out, probably gets rid of the electric energy and something else in order to find themselves. Ooh, they go Squawkabilly. Okay. So Squawk comes out, they get rid of a Crispin, Night Stretcher, and a Grass Energy. Area 0 comes out, that's fine by us. Alright, we're going to make a risky play here. And we're going to actually evolve into the active and see if we can hit it like a Team Rocket's energy. We do hit a Team Rocket's energy, as well as a Buddy Poffin. So we get ourselves another 2 Koffings. We're short 10 damage, which feels pretty bad. Imagine if we had one more. Like if we got into like a Nest Ball as well or something. That would have been so good for us. But honestly, it's fine. Even if they KO us, we can go Team Rocket's energy down onto this other Koffing. Go Fez Rare Candy. Or not Rare Candy, Professor's Research. I don't know why I said that. It sucks we were 10 damage off. Feels bad, man. There's a Vitality. It looks like our opponent's like really stuck. Wow, that sucks. Man, that went really well for us too. Cause like honestly, it would have even been even better had they KO'd my Weezing to begin or the Koffing to begin with. But all right, we'll do 4 games. I just really like playing this deck, so this video is probably gonna be long. But I said that last time and then it wasn't, so I don't know. But all right, the next game is the last game, no matter what. I promise. All right, I'll see you guys there. Peace. So when we start looking and reviewing Weezing, also, I know I said it was going to be 4 games, but that was before I actually bothered to look at the clock and realized how late it is. So this video would not be coming out if I kept recording. So, you know, better to have the video now than to wait like 2 more days for it to be done recording. So, you know, give and take. But anyway, jump cut to this. Ignore the fact that there's no game 4. This deck is a lot of fun, and when it works, it's some of the most fun I've had in this, you know, current format. Just being able to use Weezing, and then also when you get the regular Weezing, not the Team Rockets one, to flip heads when it gets knocked out and like take 2 prizes off of it and just really disrupt your opponent. It's really funny. So this deck is super wacky and a ton of fun, so definitely a 5 out of 5 on that front. In terms of power, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, probably maybe even a 2.5, because you do need a lot of things in order to actually hit for high damage, and otherwise you're kind of just doing like 240, which is still like okay, but even then it's like you don't always get to do that. So I'd probably give it like a 2.5 out of 5 rather than a 3, but I think 3 is also kind of fair. You hit some pretty decent numbers and you have the possibility to hit really high numbers, but that's not always an option. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. In terms of consistency, this deck is going to get a 2 out of 5, mostly because of the fact that you do need a couple different pieces. It is a trolley, you know, with Area 0 style deck. And so, like, you can get it off, but it doesn't, you know, again, much like your power, it's like you're not always going to be able to make that play the way you want. The deck does have some decent things that are consistent, but honestly, it's not your opening that's the hard part. It's staying in the game that is where your consistency comes in, because like having to set up multiple Weezings and like having to make sure that you always have a new Weezing in order to attack with is the hardest part. And also, like, if your opponent bosses up your Teal Mask or your Cornerstone rather, and you don't have another Cornerstone prepared, then it feels really, really bad. So that's one of the biggest issues that you can kind of run into with that. And that's why also going into the matchups, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 as well. Most of your matchups are honestly pretty bad. Your matchup into Raging Bolt doesn't feel that bad, but your matchup into Grimmsnarl feels pretty bad. Your matchup into Dracopult feels really bad. Your matchup into Charizard feels... Actually, it's not terrible, but it feels okay, I guess. But yeah, a lot of your matchups feel really bad. And so this deck is for sure, like, it's fun. Is it competitive? No, not at all. Will you be able to play it at, like, a locals and maybe go, like, you know, 2-3? Maybe. But is it something that you should be able to play, like, with your friends, you know, like a random pickup at your house? Absolutely. And this is a deck, honestly, this is a deck you play with your friend who you're trying to get them into the game. Like, it's casual, so, like, you want them to be able to win, but also, like, you need to have fun while you're playing. Like, this is a deck you play when you're playing with somebody trying to learn the game, or, like, again, just, like, pick up games with some friends and stuff like that. But when you're having a blast with it, it's a ton of fun. So, yeah, absolutely, definitely give it a try if you're just looking to have fun on the ladder and just not take the game all too seriously for a little bit, which I highly recommend. You know, better to have fun than to lose your mind all the time. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Be sure to let me know what you want to see in the next one, and I will see you guys all soon. New video out Wednesday for the office hours, like deck review, and I'll probably be streaming on Tuesday as well. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.